This was about, what time? Around 8 o'clock. I got up to start arguing at 12 o'clock. And they were stifling yawns as we talked to them. They'd had their mind made up prior to our opportunity to talk to them, that's clear. Now, you might ask the gentleman from the Dallas Morning News what he told the judge about Juror McCoy 10 days ago, wherein he said if he got on this jury, he'd send this fellow to the chair. I think you people all saw the other juror whose nephew does the TV show Know Your Police Department wave at the policeman when she got on the witness stand. I don't think Dallas is ever going to recover from what they've done today. We've prognosed it, and that I'm not very proud of. It's on the transcript. Now comes the appeal. I have no doubt as to any reversal in this lawsuit, and I can tell you that. Railroad? You bet it was a railroad from the very word that was first spoken by the public relations officer for the court.
What did Jack first say when you went up to him?
Well, Jack wasn't crying as we were. I think we were crying for our profession and for justice that we saw mauled and assassinated here. Jack was more concerned in letting us know how nice the jailers had been to him here. And of course, we don't have to say again how wonderful Bill Decker has been to us, and indeed, individual people in this city have been more gracious and more courteous to us than any place that we've been, and I think we've been in almost all of the major cities of the world. It's not the individual person of Dallas, it's something evil, festering, stinking in this community that you don't have in the darkest parts of Russia, whether it's the oligarchy or the Citizens Council or what. You who've written stories about the shame of Dallas and the rape of Americanism here know what I'm talking about. There's something that smells. And I want to get back to my own city because I'm going to vomit if I smell it any longer here.
Yeah. Mr. Belli, Eastworth says, the Dallas News reporter says it's not as pointed as you recalled it just then. He said they checked it out and the man had said words to something about that he didn't think he could get a fair trial and they received. Is that the way you understand it?
No.
Not as bad as
What the Dallas News reporter had told the judge was that Juror McCoy had told his employee that if he got on the jury, he would vote the death penalty, and that's what we checked out. Why didn't we tell the judge? Well, I think the Morning News probably has more influence with the court than we do.
Mr. Belli, has Jack asked for anything or asked to see anyone else?
No. He's calmer today than I've seen him for a long, long time. I don't think that he has an appreciation. He's had the death penalty. Maybe, I hope that it's some of the confidence that we have of reversing this conviction that is giving him encouragement. He's had a lot of spiritual consolation since he's been in jail, too, that's been supporting him.
How will the family be able to finance the costly appeal?
I'm worried about that. I've got enough to finance this appeal through the Hague Tribunal or the Swiss cantons, if necessary, and I'll spend everything I have on it, and Joe will, too. And I can commit him without even asking him, too.
You expect to make this a national appeal, a national cause of any type?
No. I don't think justice has to be a national cause or a national appeal. I think that I can go into the library and find in the bound volumes enough of stare decisis and decisions to point out in the quiet of an appellate tribunal what wasn't available to us here, that there are rules of law, that in Texas the legislature has promulgated that which is said after arrest cannot in any scope of the imagination go into evidence, that we should have had a change of venue from the word that we first spoke in the courtroom, that it's not necessary in America to have epileptic league men who write a pamphlet that takes on the defense before it's even offered, try to thrust those into the hands of prospective jurors, or when we go out to lunchtime, have sandwich men follow us around and say that psychiatrists are the tools of the devil. That's something that you'd expect in some foreign country, not in this country.
Mr. Belli, is this the first time you've ever lost a capital case?
No, sir. No, sir.
Is this the hardest defeat you've ever suffered personally in a courtroom?
Now, I've cried my eyes out many times, and almost every time when a case is lost, because I think it's my own personal loss that I could have done something different. This time, there's nothing I could have done that would have been any different except not have gotten into the case. And by that I mean any lawyer who got into this case in Dallas with this Dallas jury could not have done anything more. I just wonder when these people go to church tomorrow and take the communion cup, whether it shouldn't curdle on their lips.
How long do you think the appeal will take, Mr. Belli?
Probably 6 months to get up to the appellate criminal court in Texas, and then we've set the record so that we can go into the Supreme Court of Texas, and then certainly we can go into the United States Supreme Court.
Mr. Belli, one of the defense attorneys said that they had received many letters saying this was the poorest psychiatric defense they'd ever seen or heard of.
Joe hadn't gotten any of those letters. He hadn't gotten any, and I haven't gotten any.
Mr. Belli, where do you go from here this minute?
Where am I going personally?
Yes.
Oh, I haven't determined. I'm going to trial up in Ohio in about a month, but I'm going home first.
Are you
We'll probably
flying
be here
to
until
San Francisco
Monday.
today?
No, we'll be here until Monday.
Had you heard that Eva Grant was too nervous and sick to come to see the verdict?
Well, I imagine she would be. It's nothing unusual when a brother is on charge of a capital case for a sister not to want to come to court to participate in the spectacle in the Coliseum.
Mel, does Jack realize you're going to appeal?
Yeah, very definitely, and I think that he appreciates now that some of these stories have gotten to him that we were in this case for publicity and otherwise, and told him this morning that the work in appeal is not a spectacular thing. It's done in the library where there's no cameras and there's no interviews. It's done in long hours and writing a brief. And I told him that if there were or were not any money, that we'll write a brief here and we'll get that on upstairs, the brief that we can all be proud of. But I say all, I mean all Americans and all lawyers can be proud of. And I think that most people in Dallas should, if they have any morality left in them, be ashamed of.
Will you be seeing Jack again today, Mr.
Well,
Belli?
Judge, I'll shake hands with you individually, but I'll say in your presence that this district attorney led you into more errors than I've ever had in a lawsuit in my lifetime.
Mr. Sonnehill, I want to tell you that I'm glad to have had you and Joe in court. I think you're both fine gentlemen and you're great lawyers. And the court upstairs will correct any errors that I've committed, and we don't have anything to worry about there.
Judge, you're ashamed of the verdict. Judge, you're ashamed of the verdict, aren't you?
I wouldn't make any comment about the verdict, Joe, at all.
You're a good guy personally, Judge.
You know, I want to go duck hunting down there.
Bird hunting,
Bird
fishing,
hunting, yeah.
any kind of hunting you want to go.
Phil, I'll see you. Mr. Bell, I hope
to
you
see
have
you,
you
Judge.
back sometime.
No, I don't think I want to try any more cases in Dallas.
You were planning on having a party tonight, a zero club party, I believe. Are you still going?
No, we'd called that off yesterday, and I certainly don't think we'll have it now.
Where's the appeal going to be held? In the upstairs court? The judge said upstairs. Are you going to handle the appeal?
We've already commented on that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Belli.
Okay. All right, gentlemen. News media all over the world have carried the more correct and best run stories that I've ever seen on any national events. And I haven't said anything, I haven't done anything that has been misconstrued or misinterpreted. If anything that made any of us look errant, it was a factual thing. And I'm certainly proud of working with every one of you. I think you've all done a hell of a good job and a hard job under tough circumstances, too. It's good to have met all of you.
When are you leaving town?
Probably Monday. Not the way they look at us. You can tell that it's guilty of something, that they don't have the nerve to look you in the eye when they come in with a guilty verdict.
Yeah,
If they come in with a guilty verdict and they feel that it is deserved, they'll look at you. But when they come in and are afraid to look at you with a guilty, then you've got a pretty good idea that it's guilty and that they know damn well that it's not deserved.
What did he say after?
And you didn't get any reaction from him?
Reaction after the verdict?
No, I didn't want any reaction because I was trying to keep him calm down there.
What's the exact next step? What's the first thing you do now?
We'll go to an appeal.
Mr. Bella, what's the first thing he told you when you saw him in jail?
Are these Christian gentlemen still with us here?
Yeah, they are professionals. Hey, you move out, we're working now, okay? What did he say about when you get to the cell right away?
Well, as soon as we went up to see him, we saw him right afterwards, and he came in. He was very calm, and the first thing he said was how nice the people up there had been to him, and the second thing he said how many other people must have been railroaded out of Dallas. And then he started to say that he hadn't said these things after his arrest, and those had bothered him all night, but these policemen that he thought were friends of his coming in and lying. Why would they want to lie about him?
Is Rabbi Silverman coming to see him later in the day?
Oh, yes, I'm sure he will. Unless, now, wait a minute, the rabbi, I think, went away today.
Today is Saturday.
I think he was going away today, but I'm sure that he'll come in to see him just as soon as he can, or send someone else to see him.
Is he being allowed to see his sisters?
Yes, he'll see the sisters today, and he'll see the members of the family, too.
You didn't cry at all? You didn't see any
I
cry?
haven't seen the sisters because we just went up there and came down.
He didn't cry at all?
No, he
Never,
didn't.
no
He
time.
did. I think that
But
we
he
were
changes-
mistier than he.
When are you going to present your appeal?
Just as fast as we can.
How long is it likely to be there, Milk?
I think within 6 months we'll have an opinion at the outset.
And what happens in
Where
the
the
meantime?
first
Does he
appeal?
stay in the county jail here?
Yes, he stays here. They may move him to some different quarters in there, but he will stay in the county jail.
You won't apply. You won't reapply. Can you reapply for a bond while he's?
No.
When is the first appeal? You have to the Texas court, or
The Texas Criminal Court of Appeals. They have a specialized court of criminal appeals in Texas, which is unique. We go there first, and then we have an opportunity to go into the Texas Supreme Court, and from there we go into the United States Supreme Court if we have to, but I'm sure we won't have to.
What do you feel about the television camera in the courtroom?
Jack didn't say anything.
Now, didn't you say you didn't think he realized the verdict a minute ago? Wasn't aware of it?
Well, I think if a normal person had just had the death sentence passed on him, he might react differently than Jack, and then on the other hand, he might be numb. I've sat with other defendants who have had the death penalty, and there have been different reactions.
Before the verdict was announced, you had an idea of what it was going to be, that it was
The
going
way
to be
that
guilty.
the jury looks at you,
Right.
if you've seen enough of them,
What
you
did
can
you
tell
expect?
whether
What
it's...
sort of a sentence? Any idea?
Well, I thought that it would be a suspended sentence or 5 years at the very most.
What did you think of the judge letting the
But
television cameras in
that's
the
what I
courtroom,
was
Melvin?
trying to think, or rather I should answer that's what I was hoping, because I knew from the very beginning of this thing, when we first made our motion and made our sequential motions, that this jury was going to have to put him again into the public abattoir, and I use that word, to cleanse this city of its sins. If ever there were 12 people in need of a psychiatrist, it's those 12 people who sat on that jury. and their public relation officer. I have never, from Magna Carta to the present time, seen a spectacle to rival this. You ask about railroad, you ask about kangaroo court, never have I seen anything to rival this.
What do you think
Public relations officers for the courts, closing arguments beginning at 12, starting at 12 midnight. One judge coming on the court and saying that he will consider a motion for change of venue, and then saying he can't because that's for the other judge. Then the other judge considering a motion for a change of venue and part of the trial that he hasn't heard. The allowing of 2 jurors on. One of them, do you know that one of those jurors actually, her nephew does the TV program for the police department, Know Your Police Department, and she certainly did. She knew the one she waved at when he came as a witness, one of the main witnesses against us.
Did even
Will this be
discuss
part of your
the Jack
appeal
Ruby
case?
case with
I
him.
beg pardon?
Will this be part of your appeal case?
Oh, those are minor. Those are minor.
Did you hear about a juror who had mentioned something about death penalty before being
Yes,
picked up?
that was
What is
McCoy.
exactly, what did you hear?
Well, that was the Morning News, who was more responsible for the assassination of the president than any one instrument, and more responsible for the festering and the superation in this city than any other instrument, and more responsible for the death verdict of Jack Ruby than any other person or instrument. The reporter from the Morning News went into the judge and told him 10 days ago that McCoy had told his employee if he were to sit on this jury that he would give the electric chair.
McCoy.
Yeah.
He said he told the judge that before we knew it, too.
10 days ago.
Yeah, before we knew it.
That's Hugh Ames.
Now, I don't know why the judge would entertain and the channel at the Morning News would have into his honor's chambers to report something like this. We learned it independently. Why didn't we do something about it? Well, we don't have as much influence with his honor as the Morning News, certainly.
Do you think Ruby will...
Of your appeal, Mel?
What?
Main points of your appeal.
Well, there are 30 of them.
Starting off with the word.
30 of them?
30. 30 at least by last track. The charge that took us all day was so gross. The charge is the one that they used on the colored boy whose jury was picked on Monday. He was sentenced to the chair in Huntsville by Wednesday.
Same week?
The same 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Mr. Belli, could you go into a bit more detail about what Jack said to you just now and how he looked?
No, he was very calm, very quiet, very relaxed, almost as though the verdict was a cathartic for him.
Did he know what was happening?
How can I say? He certainly, with a man that has had a death penalty, he certainly wasn't apprehensive or anxious. I hope it's as a result of some of the confidence that we tried to give him and that we feel with reference to a reversal.
What did he say about appeal?
Just what I've been saying here. Number one, that he wanted the people to know how good the jailers had been to him in there, and he mentioned some people specifically. And then secondly, his query as to how many others had been railroaded out of Dallas. And then the third thing was that why would these police officers lie on the stand when he was their friend and he thought they were his friend?
Doesn't that show perception on his part?
I beg pardon?
It shows he's rather perceptive, doesn't it?
Well,
You said he was lethargic, and then you thought he was being receptive.
I said that was a cathartic verdict.
Did you try to get the psychiatrist to see him now, a doctor, to follow him for the next
We're
few
going
days?
to have a doctor follow him directly because by tomorrow you're going to have these
When
things.
would a date normally be set for execution?
Joe will have to tell you that. I think that he'll come in for formal sentencing now, and then there will be a date set for execution, which will be stayed pending the appeal.
Formal sentencing later today?
No, later next week, won't it, Joe?
We'll file a motion for a new trial, which undoubtedly will be summarily and automatically overruled by the trial court.
That.
Then we'll give a notice of appeal. File the appeal. He'll be sentenced.
I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of appearing here personally on the motion for a new trial.
Jack say or express any surprise at the quickness of the verdict?
No, he didn't. No, he
What
didn't.
was that, an hour and 50-minute verdict, hour and 50 minutes of actual deliberation from the time they elected a foreman, ate breakfast, started
They would have
deliberations,
returned that
and returned the
verdict last night at, what time did we get out of there? Was it 1:30?
1:05.
1:05? I think they would have returned that verdict there, but and then without leaving the box. But they were a little ashamed, and maybe the oligarchy wouldn't have thought that would have been that might have been too obvious, even for Dallas.
Mel, Judge Brown said he didn't know anything about this juror.
Well, Hugh Ainsworth with the Dallas News said he told
That
him
would be
10
for the
days before
appellate
and before we knew it.
You heard Ainsworth
him
say
in the
that
middle of the crowd in the courtroom.
on TV and on the radio before he ducked out of there.
He ran right after he said it because he realized he had tipped his hand and disclosed some very vital information to our appeal. And not being a lawyer, he didn't realize what he had said in the presence of a number of witnesses.
Let's get along. Let's go along.
You're going to stay in Dallas for a few days, Mr. Belli, or are you going West Coast?
Jack does have
I'll
one
be here
thing
until Monday so that we can get squared away on
Do
something.
you know by then what this next step is? Would you?
By what?
By Monday, would you know what the next step is?
Yeah, we'll have our steps formalized where we're going next by Monday.
Jack did ask us to continue to pursue our efforts to arrange for a polygraph test for him to demonstrate his innocence and the fact that he had no intent, no malice, no knowledge of Oswald's presence in the jail, and he still wants to take the polygraph test.
Did he ask you for anything today, Mo?
No, not a thing. Not a thing.
Will you be present for the
We
sentencing?
just asked him to be patient while we apologized for our profession and for the law as it's practiced in Dallas.
Now, will you be present for
I
the
think I was the
sentencing?
one that should apologize to him and ask him to be patient. Don't know when it's going to be done. We'll take that as we go.
Aid in prison here.
From Dr. Holbrook? Let's go.
Well, you mind?
Try to turn up swing, Jack.
Yeah, well, okay.
I'll see you over the press club later,
Did you get that all right? Yeah, but tape it. That was good. Good. Albert. Were you the man that was in there? Yeah. I saw him come out, so I ran over with the mic. What we pay you for? I was pulling the mic for you. Well, I was expecting Nelson to come in. I said, I'll meet him over there, so I ran over there. He didn't show up.
They're just tape rules down the studio now.
Good.
But they're not feeding New York after the line. They want it in New York. I'm glad.
You missed it. Hey, they're could have taken that out.
Describe what's going on, Al. You may as well announce now.
Bet the tent. Let's go, Mark. Get in there. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. No, he's gone. He's gone. He's gone. Yeah, he's gone too far. That was good thinking. Actually, that's it. Unless Ruby leaves, everybody's, and I doubt if he would, he'd come out the front door. But that makes everybody. I'm glad because the Herald got scooped. How did we get scooped? I mean, the Herald got the scoop. How did we get the scoop? Well, the verdict came in. Oh, I see. Yeah, I remember that. Uh-oh, we should be following that. We ain't got enough cable to go that far, have we?
Well, you got a small mic that does it. That goes on there.
Belli. This guy always cares at the Belli.
They got film.
We could put a mic in there.
Anyway,
He's got the edge now.